good folks, it's Dark319 aka Papa Bustatine, and welcome back to What If Naruto Was the Heir of Doom Part 3. So like, comment, subscribe, share and check the description for author, and besides all that, enjoy the video. Dark Sorcerer. Chapter 6. Unlike Luther and Raz, who had a lot of contacts or just superpowered assassins, I had nothing of these. Of course there was an army of robots. And Aquaman had his powers and army. Yet this game was played by another rules, rather than one I played before. My enemies were masters of said game, especially Raz, so I needed my allies to be more powerful than I presumed before. Mistake in calculation led to very unpleasant consequences. Naruto von Doom. First Gathering. Latveria. Castle Doom. Were it not for the fact that he was in his own castle, Naruto would have destroyed this building and an area nearby, just to relieve his stress. Second lesson, taught to him by his father was, never leave the enemy alive. Unfortunately, killing Sasuke was impossible. While heroes were around, something like that would have compromised his status quo, and dealing with entire league wasn't something that he wanted. Yet. But leaving Sasuke alive wasn't in his intentions. So he sent an assassin, while young ninja was in hospital. Something lethal in his veins was enough for the prick. He wasn't an Uzumaki or Senju to survive acid in his veins. But assassin returned empty-handed, of course, if not count a video, where several young girls dressed as nurses and women, dressed as doctor, moved Sasuke to operation room. Usually something like that wasn't worthy of his attention. But one of the girls had pink hair, other one's eyes seemed to be pure white, and even if the other two had no noticeable features, Naruto knew assassin when he saw one's. As interesting as it was, some other matters needed his attention. He rose from his seat and went to the meeting room. Bothered by the conflict, Karak and Biawea, ruler of Kondak, Teth Adam, or simply, Black Adam, was now seeking allies to protect his country. Knowing Queen Bee's ambitions, she will try to either use or enslave powerful political figures. And Aquaman, Doom and Black Adam were in their numbers. Just with those three in her hands, she would be able to cause such levels of chaos and brutality that were never seen before. Alliance between Doom and Aquaman seemed promising to him, so the duet promised to turn into trio in near future. So, three leaders gathered together in the Castle Doom. To show equality between them and pay respects for the old times, they sat behind the round table. Everything was discussed, all papers signed and cups were raised to celebrate the alliance. Everything was normal, until... "I hope I didn't disturb your fun?" asked a low male voice. Pale-skinned male with long black hair and beard, dressed in red armor, stepped from the shadows. "I hope my little intervention didn't stop this pleasant conversation," said he. His eyes glowed for a moment, but returned to the normal second later. "Dracul," said Naruto. "I thought that after all that invasion that happened in your country, you will be there, helping to rebuild Castlevania. They renamed it. But don't worry, I will deal with all this and with power struggle too. To answer your question, yes, I didn't leave it alone. Right now the reconstruction is being overseen by my son and those who believe that only strong hands shall bring the country back to greatness," said the ancient vampire. "Well," said Naruto. "So you came here seeking what? Allies?" "Yes," stated Dracul. "You're not so secret society, Illuminati, isn't it? Needs more members to throw and hold a punch." The name wasn't as original as I expected, but yet again, you are the traditional man, and hiding in plain sight was something that I expected from you. So, what will you tell? Three kings looked at each other and nodded. With a click of his fingers, another throne, an empty cup appeared behind the table, and on it sat with us, King Dracul. "Celebrate the forming of our alliance," said Doom. "But of course," said Dracul, walking to his place behind the table. "Excuse my rudeness, but I'm with my own drinks. Hidden dungeons. Konoha. Blood. Murders. Betrayal. Thirst." Those words would describe the life of one Sasuke Uchiha. Everything started with blood. With hidden curse inside the very essence that granted them life. Superiority, thirst for power and battle was in Uchiha's genes. Murder of all his clansmen by his own brother set him on the dark path. And everything went down really fast. He betrayed Konoha for his own gain, to achieve the needed level of power to destroy his brother once and for all. Thirst for power, however, wasn't sated. Once fed, in Uchiha's, it continues to grow to unimaginable sizes. And the circle continued. More blood, more murders, more betrayals, and once again thirst. Some would say that Sasuke was a typical vampire, but we really don't want to insult somebody like Dracul, don't we? So chained to the floor, in kneeling position, he was contained in his cell. And in front of him sat the fifth Hokage of Konoha, Tsunade Senju. Around her were her faithful apprentices. Hyuga Hinata, Haruno Sakura, and Yamanaka Ino. They, like Sasuke before them, walked through the gates that connected dimensions, made by Orochimaru, who managed to create them, through salvaging the remains in the Yozushiogakur. So, was it worth it? Asked the fifth. You ran to Orochimaru, killed him after he gave you power, but while he was at weakest, gathered team of allies, tried to kill your brother, fought him, lost your team. Thank you for giving us such valuable ninjas, by the way, and returning my distant cousin to Konoha. Spend several years running and hiding, learning from different masters, and leaving behind yourself only the road made of their corpses. She was silent for a minute, only to smugly smile and continue, only to return later to find out that your brother died from illness. Life is surely a cruel thing, isn't it, Sasuke? Laugh all you wish, Senju bitch, said Sasuke. But this doesn't change the fact that I know something that you don't. Oh? She moved to him. And tell me, what do you know, that I don't know. Spare your life, for example? Sasuke smiled. I know where he is. Your demon brat. The Jinchuriki. Cabal's base. Nearly the same time. While Naruto gathered more allies and Tsunade found out the shocking truth, Lex Luther and Raz, alongside the Black Manta, also gathered the strength alongside allies. Vandal Savage, Queen Bee, Brain. Cabal gathered forces, but it was still forced to rely heavily on the powers of its members. Right now, Queen Bee, despite being one of the core members, was forced to act alongside Talia, Cheetah, and Galatea, to reach their goals. The Femme Fatales were really effective in stealth missions, and with Galatea they had enough power with them to destroy anyone who dared to disagree. But soon they had found out that there was something that they missed: lack of the magic users. To properly fight Doom, who was equal, and as many suspected stronger, than Sorcerer Supreme, they needed magic users, and where they couldn't get with quality, they decided to compensate with quantity. Felix Faust, Cersei, and many others. To all were given different tasks, all hoped for the place in Cabal, for having power and prestige that comes with that. So, started Felix, looking at his main opponent, Cersei. What are you going to do? Gather some artifacts? Maybe. Answered Cersei, who was indeed sent to gather the Sword of Dark Archangel. And you? Going to kidnap kids of some rich parents? Because really, I can't see you managing to do anything worthwhile. I was sent to bring the Amazons under the heel of Cabal, and after I deal with it, by extension, under my heel. Smugly answered Felix. What? Cersei was really surprised. A good-for-nothing, second-rate mage like Faust was given such a delicate task? They cannot. I'm much more worthy and suitable for such a task than you. I know them. I fought with them and against them. I know how they think. Exploded she. Well, unfortunately, Cabal gave this task to me. Answered Felix. But I will gladly let you play with some of your former Amazon friends, when they will be properly re-educated, to serve the Cabal. While Cersei gritted her teeth in anger, Felix walked away laughing under his nose. Just don't forget, our part of this deal, mortal. But the voice in his head quickly returned him to reality. With Diana. Return to her home wasn't as good as she thought. Her sisters turned to stone. Her mother as well. All this done by this madman, who claimed to have power to do so. But he seemed to speak the truth as he raised his hand with strange amulet in it, and her mother returned to life. My daughter, whispered she, when she saw Diana. I had hoped to see once again before my demise. I was happy that you weren't among those who fall to our enemies' spells, but also I had feared that I will never see you again. Slowly raising to her feet, she noticed Faust. In her eyes a flame of rage instantly started to burn. Help me, daughter, let's deal with that coward. Hippolyta raised her sword and with loud battle cry leapt forward. Smiling Faust raised his amulet. Bright flash, made by plasma shoot, hit their eyes, and their reflexes pushed them to different sides of the temple. Hippolyta gracefully landed, stabbing her sword in the floor, to stop her movement. Felix also made salt backwards, something that nobody expected of him, trying to evade the attack, what he did successfully. Another figure stepped in the circle of the light, raising his right arm with smoking plasma shooter in the center of his palm. Dark cloak clapped behind his shoulders, his body was clad in metal armor and his face was hidden by the metal mask, which resembled the fox and the demonic face alike. Well. And here I dressed up my best armor, for the meeting with beautiful ladies, only to find out that some second-rate magician, dressed in rags, is also here? Do you really have such a bad taste in guests, Diana? Doom, said she. Would have never presumed that I will say this, but I'm glad that you are here. Well, I'm glad to disappoint you in that particular assumption, but why is Faust here? Aside from the whole, destroy the island of Amazon situation? Asked he. Fool! Screamed Faust. You don't understand what kind of powers will hunt you down for disturbing my mission. You are certainly not speaking about those fools in the Cabal. Who are your true master? Faust smiled. Try to figure it out. For now, farewell, but Queen. He turned to Hippolyta. He really wishes to see you. So many years in Tartarus just made his thirst for you grew in tremendous proportions. Laughing madly, he disappeared in black smoke. What did he mean? Asked Diana. Something that was my greatest shame, for my entire life. Answered her mother. Anyway. Change the topic, Diana. How did he get here? How did you get here, Doom? And what do you both need? In order, he works for Cabal, secret society, created to shape the world according to its core members' wishes. That would explain how he managed to get here. According to my intel, among the core members is Ra's al Ghul, said Doom. Who? Asked Diana. Batman never spoke of him? It may have been unnoticed because of the mask, but Naruto raised his brows. Well, not one of the brightest moments in his detective career. Ra's al Ghul is an immortal, or rather long-lived individual, who tried to make Batman his heir. He is also the head of the League of Shadows and supporter of the theory of the Golden Million. In other words, he believes that the Earth must be purified from the corruption that is the current humanity and repopulated by the best specimen. That would also explain what they really wanted here. What? Asked Diana. What I wanted here, Amazons. Amazons? Asked Diana, while her mother prepared her sword. Actually, I just wanted to propose alliance to your mother. With growing activity of Cabal, the number of those who are worried about them are growing. And since your mother has felt how troublesome they can be, I hope she will take an offer of alliance. I will think of it, said Hippolyta, putting her sword in the sheath on her belt. But right now I need a gift of goodwill from you, if, of course, you still want me and my Amazons as allies. What do you want? Asked he. Many years ago, Hades, god of underworld, tricked into releasing him from the Tartarus. During the battle with him, many lives were lost, but eventually he was bound and returned into the underworld. As punishment I, alongside my Amazons, must guard the gates, which lead to Tartarus. She paused for a minute and continued. The gates can be opened with a key, however. It was broken into several parts and hidden in the different locations around the world. I need your help to secure the parts. Meanwhile with Faust. Faust stood near the altar in abandoned temple. How is our plan going, my minion? Asked the deep menacing voice from the flame on the altar. They decided to secure the part of the key. Not everything went as planned, but they still are reacting as you predicted. They? I thought I ordered you to blackmail Diane with her mother, in doing everything alone? Asked the voice from the flame. At first I wanted to turn her mother back to stone, but I was interfered. Who? The coldness in the voice was enough to freeze the world several times. Just a man, he is of no importance to our plan, even if he will not be killed during the gathering of the parts of the key, he is of no importance. I can sense when you are lying. Who is he? Voice became even colder. He calls himself Dr. Doom. I do not know anything else about him. Faust was shaking because of the might of his master. Doom. With new name, the Chosen, the Slayer of Gods, will come, to face the god of the underworld, and Doom shall prevail. You insignificant idiot. You brought my death right to me. Do anything that you wish and can, but make sure that he will not survive. I can't risk anything now. Not when I'm so close. Pyramida. South America. Red energy bolts summoned by the small kid in the black suit with horn-like hairstyle, were counterattacked by the green energy bolts. Doom and Clarion clashed in epic magical duel, while Diana went to the Paradise Island to meet with her mother and decide where they will hide the parts of the key again. You have already lost, Doom, laughed Clarion. You will not get to the island in T. Hand in the metal glove grabbed the face of annoying entirely young Lord of Chaos. Now tell me. He got the child closer to his mask. Who pulls the strings? Themyscira. Near the open gates of Tartarus. Hades held Diana by her throat, rising her high in the air. Wait a minute, dear, said he to Hippolyta, who tried to rise. I will punish your daughter and then. Well, I had a lot of time and I invented a lot of ways to punish you. Bolt of plasma hit his left side, making him release the Wonder Woman. You shouldn't try to trick or anger Doom. In the end what waits you is just a demise. Figure in the armor made of Eternium and black cloak behind his shoulders had his smoking palm raised in the god's direction. So you are the Doom, Slayer of Gods? He smirked. I had expected someone higher. Hades raised his fist and threw a punch in Naruto's direction. Open palm caught and the shock wave nearly destroyed everything around them. This armor is made of Eternium, fusion of vibranium and adamantium. Even God will kill to have something like this. Armored fist met Hades' chin and powerful uppercut sent him in the air. Not letting the god prepare the counterattack, Naruto grabbed his leg and threw him into the wall. Hades raised to his feet and spitted something golden on his dark glove. Ichor. He had already made him bleed. Hades raised his head, but all he saw was armored fist. Barrage of punches fell on his body. He tried to block but with no result. He cannot withstand such attacks for long. Somehow he felt that his powers were slowly vanishing, as if someone was sapping them out of him. Another hit made him puke a pile of blood on the ground. Red blood. Hades understands that he cannot win this fight. If it continues any longer he, without a doubt, will be beaten to death. Of course the gods don't die. They return to the core, to the source, to rest and prepare for their return. But Hades had no intention of returning to it. But Naruto had no intention of letting him run. Once again Naruto grabbed the god, but this time by his cloak. Hades noticed that slight red aura surrounded his opponent. In eyelashes of his mask glowed the unholy flame. They say that gods always defeat the demons. But what if the demon is more powerful than a god? The answer is simple: this will be one-sided beating. How? Managed to ask the well-beaten god of death. My abilities of the chosen and the god slayer gives the power to equal the fields a bit. That's why you are spitting nice red blood instead of that stinky golden ichor. He threw him to the open gates. And touch of the Shinigami, which I received several hours after my birth, made me immune to your powers. He raised his hand and blast of plasma destroyed the key. Adios. You dealt with him, said Diana, who stopped near him, alongside her mother. And Faust is dead, said he, getting the talisman Faust used from the rags and dust he was turned into. Now, let us test if I didn't spend my time in vain, learning the magical arts, said Naruto, raising the amulet. Bright light blinded them for several seconds, and when they opened their eyes again, all Amazons were back to normal and amulet turned into dust. Several minutes later, Naruto prepared the jet to leave the island. So what about the proposal? Asked Naruto. I'm thinking that I will take it, said Hippolyta. My queen. One of the Amazons, with long, fiery red hair, stopped near Queen, pushing the crowd of her fellow Amazons aside. You cannot. Queen raised her elegant brow. Why? Because you cannot let this man and royal family of Themyscira, said she. Artemis. What are you? She is right, my queen, said a blonde Amazon dressed in white. Aresia. Amazons love you, my queen, but we will not tolerate the man in power. In the coming silence the laughter of the king and the queen, accompanied by the Dianas one, was heard especially clear. I will not marry your queen, if that is what you fear. Our alliance was created to save the people of the kingdoms, who were the part of it. We live in dangerous time, gods of old returns to earth and new ones rise to power. Only together we can stand against the hostile forces that gather against us. Your queen has chosen your safety over her pride and old grudges against other world. Respect her decision, because all her sacrifices are for you. With those words, he went inside the jet and Amazons finally got silent. If there only were more men like him, said Hippolyta. There are, said Diana. Not all of them are monsters. And those who are? Asked Aresia, who silently appeared near them. That's why I will be there, said Diana, walking to the jet. What will you do there, daughter? Asked the queen. I have started the study of jurisprudence. Maybe with words I will save as much lives as I do with my fists, answered Diana. Several minutes later the jet left the air over the island. With Cheetah. Inside her personal apartment. In working for Luther and by extension, for government were several pluses. Hologram to mask her appearance, apartment in rather nice part of the New York, and even paychecks. Apartment was rather new, so when she heard the noise behind the door, Barbara decided to check it. When she opened the door large box nearly fell on her head. Fortunately, she managed to catch it. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought because this building is rather new I was the only one on this floor, said a nice female voice, from somewhere behind the box. Barbara accurately placed the box on the floor and finally managed to look at the one who disturbed her. Before her stood the beautiful, raven-haired woman, dressed in business suit. In her hands was even bigger box and she held it easily. Right now she placed it on the floor, to not bother her new neighbor. She stretched her hand. Diana Prince, advocate. Barbara took it. Barbara Ann Minerva, Doctor of Biology and Genetic Engineering. Chapter 7. Your past will find you. Sooner or later. So keep the place on your wall, where you place the cut-off heads of your enemies, ready for new trophies. Naruto Von Doom, sharpening his weapons before the duel with Jiraiya. Konoha. Hokage's cabinet. Tsunade looked at the two men, who stood in her office. Aside from now retired Sarutobi, Jiraiya and Kakashi bear the most blame for current situation with Naruto. If both had been doing their duties right. But past is the past, and right now Tsunade needed the skills of those two. Judging by the rumors she gathered and information she received from Sasuke, Naruto settled really well in the other world, now king of country with an army of metal warriors at his back and call. He was too independent and dangerous to deal like others often did with Rouge Jinchuriki. Killing him will lead to too much political mess, kidnapping is nearly impossible. So, Tsunade decided to send the ones who were to blame for such situation in first place. Jiraiya, whose perverse nature kept him away, and the one who blamed Naruto for Minato's death. Kakashi, who envied Naruto for being his sensei's true son. They will either bring him back or die trying. That she was sure in. Kakashi. Jiraiya. From you two, alongside the old fossils this mess started. Now it is time for you to deal with it, said she. What must we do? Asked Jiraiya. Go through the gates. Find Naruto, or Dr. Doom, as he calls himself now. Beat him up until he surrenders, or use another means to subdue him, or just simply kill him. Village need the demon vessel inside our walls. Not out. Both of them nodded, Jiraiya with grim expression, Kakashi with a smirk, hidden by his mask. Unknown location. Erisia looked how waves hit the board of the ship. Since she became the leader of the and the high priestess of the cult of Ares, which still existed inside the Amazon society, she decided that, like Hippolyta, she needed allies. Her spies in outside world, which were always sent by the cult, from century to century, gathered the information, which led to the organization that opposed Doom and others. Cabal. They waited for her right when she left the ship. Vandal Savage. Brain. Queen Bee. Lex Luther. Ra's al Ghul. They made a welcoming gesture. Now she, Erisia, was one of them. Unknown place. Several weeks later. Jiraiya looked over the reports, given to him by his spies. He didn't expect this mission to be easy, but he had never expected it to be that hard. Getting inside the country was feat of its own, breaching the security inside and evading an army of Doombots was nearly impossible, and then there still was Castle's security and Naruto. Well, not Naruto anymore, Dr. Doom. The tyrant of Latveria. Jiraiya knew, when the fight was lost even before the start, that's why he survived for so long. His talent to see such situations and evade them ensured this. But right now he was forced to deal with such situation, moreover it was the one, which he made by himself. To Kakashi no such dilemma existed. He wanted to get in, kill the bastard and let his sensei rest in peace. He never though that in peace will rest he. Castle Doom. With Naruto. Nearly all members gathered together, but this time, one more empty seat was placed near the table. My dear friends, started he, today, there is one more member in our little circle, and finally, a woman. Please, treat her well, or she will kick your asses, Hippolyta. Queen of Themyscira. Doom, you present her like a prized warrior on arena, please greet a lady, properly. A bit of a courtesy will not hurt, said Dracul. Son of a dragon, speaking about manners and courtesy, said Aquaman. What is happening to this world? Maybe it is changing to the better, Arthur? You are Arthur, after all, Atlanna's firstborn, said Hippolyta, slowly walking to her seat. You knew my mother? Raised his brow Arthur. Yes, answered Hippolyta. We were allies once. Before her marriage to the king. Aquaman became silent after these words. Banishment of his mother, by the king's decree, was still something that he wasn't prepared to talk about. The fact that all searches for his mother were in vain didn't boost his mood in right direction. Anyway, said Teth Adam. We need to decide our course of action. Justice League slowly gathers the power. Cabal attacks all who aren't on their side, or just oppose the core members. It will be a matter of days, till their interests shall cross with ours. And I don't want to deal with all their shit when we could have stopped them before they could have done something. Cable barely survived when his fist connected with it, but enchantments managed to hold the nearly godly power. Fortunately, Naruto had enough mastery of arcane arts to prepare for his nasty temper. Gentlemen and lady, started the king of Latveria. We stand before the global problem. Global enough to destroy this world to atomic dust. Society of insane people and murders, who believe themselves to be higher and better than others, wishes to take not only our lives and freedoms, but also set course for evolution of entire humankind. They see themselves as gods. And we must become their godslayers. Unknown location. Laboratory of Dr. Strange. Strange looked at the results of the another experiment on the screen of the monitor. Many years has passed since he stepped his path. Many failures, many losses. He started as short man, with big ambitions, and now he works for those who will shape the history of humankind. Just like he dreamed. Men Beasts were failed project. Titan also didn't give him what he wanted, but this time. Yes, maybe this time he will manage to fix the genetic mistakes that shackle humanity. Hugo walked to armored door and tapped a password on the lock. It slowly opened, letting him get inside. Hugo was greatly honored when Lex Luther appointed him as head scientist in one of his projects, as he said, "You have a talent in monster creation, Hugo. So do not disappoint me. Especially with all that alien tech that I gathered for you." And Hugo did as he was asked. Looking at the large tank, where floated, large, muscular, gray-skinned humanoid figure, he smiled, as other scientists worked over it. He was asked to make a monster. And he made one. Meanwhile, his sponsor, Lex Luther, was creating another master plan to deal with the Superman. Since kryptonite and science failed him and he needed said stone and other vitamin injection for his own use, he decided to use magic against the Blue Boy Scout. However, the relic found by his mystics may have emitted the great deal of power, but was absolutely useless in utilizing said power. So, Lex sat in his chair, in front of the strangely shaped cross, which held enough power to deal with the Superman, yet he had absolutely no idea how to use it. Until. Do you need something, Mr. Luther? Voice had absolutely no source, and seemed to talk right in his head, which scared Luther quite greatly. He had spent a lot of time protecting his mind from the different kinds of invaders, who can manipulate people at their will. But that unknown voice, or rather its owner, easily pierced all defenses that he, and other members of the Cabal, helped each other to create. "Who are you? Where are you?" asked, looking around. "On the table," was his answer. Luther turned to the table, and to his shock cross glowed with eerie blue light. He saw how circles opened and closed, like somebody was looking through the cross, opening and closing his or her eyes. "I'm Tenebris, the Binder. I serve the king beneath the black. And Tenebrae have a proposition for you, Lex Luther," said the voice. "What do you want?" asked Luther. "We want the champion, we want the dead. Bring us the champion and Tenebrae will give you what you wish. Power to slay your enemy, army to instate your rule, world to conquer and war to test your weapons," said Tenebris. "Who do you want? And how can I do it?" asked Luther. "This artifact is a key. It is a portal to the universe where my master dwell. You will open the door. You will bring us the one called Solomon Grundy. And you will lead the armies of Tenebrae into battle." Lex took the cross in his hands, and images of another Earth flooded his mind. In this version of Earth, the Second World War ravaged the Earth. He saw different versions of metahumans, protecting or destroying the Earth. He saw Berlin, where Joker's daughter prepared to make a pact with Tenebrae. He saw Edward Nygma, who made and remade different weapons. He also saw many others. He looked in the way of Gotham, but haven't found any trace of Batman. In Metropolis there was no trace of Superman. But he could sense the Kryptonian through the cross. Definitely there was someone there, someone who he needed to get rid of. "You will have Grundy, meanwhile. Prepare my army." With Naruto. Unknown time later. He felt how magic was twisting, shaping into new form, under the mad will of one man. And this madness was very familiar to him. Lex Luther is hard to forget, his insanity is even harder too. This time, he also heard the call to gathering, not to his usual one, with the members of Illuminati, but to the one in the Tower of Fate. With wave of his hand he disappeared in the green glow of portal. When Naruto appeared in the Tower of Fate, he had found that except the owner, there were a lot of guests. Raven, daughter of Trigon and one of the most powerful mages of her generation. Zatanna, smart and brave, not as powerful as Raven, but certainly still dangerous. Near Raven sat a girl with gray skin, with very noticeable hairstyle. It seemed like horns, and her hair being pink made it even more extravagant. Jinx, the mage of bad luck. Near her sat another gray-skinned girl, with red and black hair, dressed in the goth clothes sat near her. As Naruto deduced, it was Argent, heroine from New Zealand. He himself appeared on the right side of Dr. Fate. On his left side sat his trusty wife, Inza. One of the seats was given to the female magician in the red cape with red marks on her face, who constantly gripped the three-eyed metal skull in her hands. Pandora. To Naruto's right, without a doubt, to try to subdue him, if something happens, sat Jason Blood. On one of the seats was a living plant. Seriously, that's how you can describe Dr. Alec Holland if you wished. His massive figure hovered over them, like a grim reminder of what will happen, if they will not behave. On the last seat was the man, who Naruto greatly despised, who he wanted to see dead, strangled by his own hands or burned to a crisp by his plasma bolts. John Constantine. The bastard of bastards. Only one, who he wanted dead just because he didn't like him. It was rather strange. Constantine was a bastard, but their paths had never crossed. The hatred between them started at their first meeting. Like the knight and the dragon, they quickly understood that none of them will rest, while others still breathed. Actually, something like that happened between Naruto and Fate too, but to a lesser degree. That's why Naruto rarely left Latveria. His ability to make friends, enemies and frenemies alike was as handy as it was dangerous. But this time all these people decided to cooperate and place their differences behind them, at least for a time. I thank you for answering my call. All of you had felt the recent disturbance, and this alone was enough to trouble me. But something else happened, something that forced me to ask for your help, said Fate. Cut the crap already, Fate, said Constantine, who had already placed his legs on the table and lightened his cigarette. And tell us already what happened. In response, Fate just raised his hand and a golden sphere appeared in it. At first the several crimes happened, to a naked and inexperienced eye they couldn't be linked together. But to us. Said Naruto. If I remember correctly, all these metals are needed in different magical rituals. But all they had one more thing in common: they can transfer and keep the magical energy. Whatever the one who was behind this tried, it is something big. The number of materials stolen speaks about this. I cannot even imagine what they try to build, let alone how will they start it. Whatever it will be, it will need a lot of energy. This isn't the most interesting thing that happened. Solomon Grundy was kidnapped, said Dr. Fate. Room instantly became silent. What do you mean, kidnapped? Asked Zatanna. He's several foot tall undead and nearly unstoppable zombie. Whoever did it was powerful and skilled. Footage from several crime places and different things that we had found on the destroyed hiding place of Grundy proved that it has been done by the same group of people. But who will need to kidnap Solomon Grundy? Asked Raven. Wrong question, said Naruto. Why that someone needed to kidnap Solomon Grundy will be the correct question. One of the wastelands used by LexCorp to test new weapons. Lex Luther was happy. Finally, for the long period of time, he had a really good chance to deal with the Superman. If of course his partner will hold his word. Lex placed the case that he carried on the table in his tent. Inside was an injector with the strange green liquid. As he injected himself, he felt how power surged through his veins. Slowly Lex left the tent and went to one of the big trailers. Inside one was the sedated, if such term can be applied to zombies, Solomon Grundy. Inside the other one. Lex slowly got inside the trailer and placed his legs in the special device. Instantly different machines clad them into massive armored boots. His spine, chest and arms, soon everything was clad in the green and violet armor. He stepped out of his trailer prepared to meet his benefactor. Slowly, he went to the giant gates, guarded by the vixens. Are you sure that this must be done, Luther? Asked Cheetah. Mr. President, Cheetah, you still work for me, if of course you don't want any trouble with the law, metahuman control or animal control, said Luther. I should have punished you for such a show of blatant disrespect and distrust. But fortunately for you, you are quite good at what you do. So I will let it slide. For now. Cheetah became silent. She wanted to be done with it and return to her apartment, to her research and her friend. Young lawyer was smart, beautiful and was a good listener. She was her best friend and two strong women. They found a lot of things to speak about, which they shared in common. Cheetah was interested in the law, Miss Prince, in her biology research. And both liked cats. The only thing that they cannot agree upon was their view on life. Cheetah believed that if you will not help yourself nobody will. Diana believed in helping others and second chances. But both had too much respect to each other to start the argument over something like this. Sometimes Cheetah found herself looking at her in much more intimate way than it was supposed to be. Damn all these animal hormones. It looked like after her transformation something twisted in her psyche and hormonal balance. When she first found this, Cheetah freaked out and panicked, but it was long time ago. Now she once again armed herself with her scientific knowledge and tried to create the vaccine. She believed that what that strange cult did to her was the after effect of some strange mutagen. Like all scientists, Dr. Barbara and Minerva didn't believe in magic. Yoga helped her to calm down her body and mind. Different other teachings and several deep meditations taught her control. Now she wasn't afraid that she will lose control and rock her only friend's bones, while they were drinking tea on kitchen. Hand on her shoulder returned her to reality, ripping her from pleasant thoughts about Diana Prince. Talia stretched her hand in the direction of the gates, where was Lex Luther in his battle suit. Gates, made by the instructions given by Tenebris, seemed to be completely black and perfectly clean, but it was just an illusion. In reality this ark was covered in magical runes and words of languages long forgotten. Use the cross, said the voice in his head, and Luther obliged, raising the cross over his head. Blue lightning struck from the cross into the gates. All symbols and letters glowed with blue light, consuming the energy of the artifact. This is it. The artifact is synchronized with the gates. Use it to get our world. Bring us our champion. Don't worry, thought Luther. I will do it. Good. Now attach the cross to your armor. It will activate at your will. Luther placed the cross on his stomach and it instantly melted with his armor. Lex get inside the trailer and using his enhanced strength get Grundy out of it. He touched the cross and left with the bright blue flash. Tower of Fate. They had left, said Dr. Fate. We all can sense this, good doctor, said Naruto. But the question is, to which dimension, to which Earth? I think I can help you with this, said a voice from the door. Woman dressed like a sorceress, with a long violet hair and a tattoo on her neck, stepped inside the room. Tala, said Doom. Faust's former apprentice. What do you wish? Right now all struck deals and joined some kind of alliances. I wish to join yours, said she. We are not even officially gathered, said Raven. Oh, Raven, my dear, we both know what those words mean. You need a help and I can provide it. But in return, you must invite me in your little inner circle. My work for government slowly strangled my research in magical area. I need to return to it, said she. And the fact that two most powerful mages on Earth are here is also a plus. As I hate to say it. And you know how big my pride is. We need her, said Doom. As I hate to say it. Doom is right. Followed him Dr. Fate. We will get you in circle, or whatever you think we are, if your information is worthy. Oh, I have much more than pesky information, said Tala, getting a glass with glowing black rock inside. I brought you magic. Several days later every member of the new circle of mages finally managed to pinpoint the source of the strange energy. Well, said Doom. Since we all decided to tug in. We need a name for ourselves. I already have one, said Fate. From this moment on, through us are recreated the Sentinels of magic. And before everyone in the room, even Tala, appeared the magical watch, the symbol of the Sentinel. Good. Now let's move on and kick some asses, said Doom. Chapter 8. War. War never changes. But since when there were a fucking Nazi zombies in it? Naruto von Doom. Conflict with Tenebrae. DC Bombshells Universe. Secret facility of Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller learned many harsh lessons in her life. She created her bombshells to fight against the threats never before seen. Or seen and forgotten. When Hitler rose to power in the Germany it worked like a catalyzer to much worse things. Powers of old, dangerous and thirsty for human souls and flesh returned to this world, aliens crashed on their planet. Metahumans popped out everywhere. Order was needed, and order will be upheld, through her loyal soldiers. Right now she worked over her new project. She deduced, that if the undead were real, then many other things were also worthy of her research and with help of Dr. Kimio Hoshi and Big Barda Free, her right and left-handed maidens, she was now looking at the transdimensional gate, courtesy of her science brigade. However, she had never expected that it will activate on its own creating the rift in space continuum, leaving several people behind. Amanda Waller, said the one, in strangely shaped armor and covered by black cloak. Why am I not surprised, that you are nearby, when world is about to be blown to hell? His presence was overwhelming, but Waller managed to calm herself. Who are you and how do you know my name? Asked she. I'm Dr. Doom. Answered he. And you, Miss Waller, were a large thorn in my side, back in my own dimension. You know her? Asked Fate. Our version of her. When you need to do the dirty work through the dirtiest way possible. You need Amanda Waller. Answered Naruto. Unfortunately, right now we need someone like her, to deal with Luther. Luther? Asked Waller. How Alexander Luther got into this mess. Not Alexander, Lex. Lex Luther. Answered Doom. Our version of Luther, bent on world domination and clad in battle armor. Well. Amanda knew that Alexander was dangerous man, but the version from another world seemed even worse. She knew what she needed to do, but it took a lot from her to recognize that she was completely helpless. Looks like the best course of action will be unite against our foes. Meanwhile, with Lex, armored figure of Lex Luther, with Solomon Grundy in his hand, appeared inside the magical circle. In front of him, stood the bald man in white suit. Several armed soldiers, in form of the Third Reich regime, pointed their weapons at him. Greetings, Lex Luther. I serve the king beneath the black. Have you brought what you promised? Asked he. Instead of answering, Lex threw the motionless form of Grundy to his feet. Good. Rise Solomon Grundy, be reborn on Monday, said Tenebris, raising his arms in the air. Lightning shoot from his fingers into the motionless form of Grundy. For several minutes nothing happened, but soon Solomon rose to his feet. He opened his eyes glowing with blue light, raised his head and roared. "I think I fulfilled my end of the bargain," said Luther. "Where is an army you have promised me?" "Patience, Lex Luther, patience," said Tenra. "With each day, our armies grow and soon when we will cover this world. You will have your army. Right now though, let me introduce our other allies. Joker's daughter. Woman in cabaret dancer's outfit made a reverence. Brother Knight. Man in form of the Nazi officer nodded. And Zatanna and Constantine, daughter's guest. And a spy turned pet. Woman in fishnets and cabaret dress nodded as did the rabbit with cigarette in his mouth. One of the many battlefields of the Second World War. Baroness Paula von Gunther swore her alliance to Tenra for the treasures that they promised her. Themyscira, its woman, riches and that she will wish for. King Nereus, their new ally will have the seas, she will have the riches and Tenra will have the dead. But also she wanted to prove that she is the mightiest woman on this earth, the rightful ruler who walks upon it. That's why she followed Diana the Amazon princess to this distant location in Europe. She needed the worthy enemy to prove herself. "This is the end, Amazon," said she. "As you can see, the new Tenra battalion will claim your allies, still alive and those, who are already dead. We battled your kind before and sent them to the depth of Tartarus where they belong," screamed she, throwing her lasso in the direction of the Baroness. However, she grabbed the lasso and pulled Diana back, towards her. First of the Baroness hit her abdomen with tremendous force. All too familiar to the Diana. "Your speed, your force. What are you?" "I'm the Baroness, I rule my barony and protect those within it. This bargain have I made with Tenebris the Binder and his army of Tenebrae. I will not let humankind pass of this earth. I will protect those devoted to me. I will even let you have your pet. Isn't peace through submission an Amazon virtue after all?" asked she as Diana and Trevor fought the undead. However, something happened exactly the same moment Diana decided to answer the remark. At first everyone on the earth had felt it. Like the feeling of coming dread. Then came the sound. Like the heavy artillery's projectile flew at your position and it happened all around the world. Then it happened. It hit the earth. Flaming meteor fell somewhere in the Arctic ice. But all, who knew at least something about the powers of this world, felt that it wasn't usual meteor. It was something else. Somewhere in the melted ice, slowly covered by snow, lied a beautiful gray-skinned woman. She clenched the golden trident in right and lasso in the left hand. She was slowly covered by snow, until metal hands didn't dig her out. Figure in dark robes took her bridal style and carried her away, through the blizzard, slowly disappearing in it. Meanwhile, in Europe, Baroness and Diana slowly breathed in and out after all that happened in last seconds. But Baroness wasn't given any time to collect her thoughts and armies, several explosions scattered her warriors behind her. "Well, this is certainly a new level of a saying, good Nazi is dead Nazi," came a male voice from behind them. Both women turned and saw a man dressed in black combat gear, with long brown hair, half mask covering the lower part of his face and metal left arm that shone even in darkness of the night. "Fortunately I have enough explosives to make dead stay, well, dead. I do not know who you are, but believe me, soon you will bow to the might of Ak." She was forced to duck, as Diana inserted her fingers into the earth, ripped the good chunk of it out, and threw it into the Baroness. "For all that you fight like one, you are no Amazon," said she, standing proud. "Hey lady. Take cover." Something flew past her and landed right in the swarm of the Tenebrae. Seconds later it exploded, leaving only the destroyed bodies lying all around. "Very impressive, I must say, stranger," said Baroness, looking at the man in the half mask. "Who are you? You are certainly not of this world. Tenebrae can sense something like this." "Name is Bucky," answered he, grabbing something from his belt. "But the likes of you, call me Winter Soldier." He threw a spherical object in the direction of the Baroness. With nasty way it beeped, even the dead Tenebrae understood that it was dangerous. They jumped over it, protecting the Baroness from harm. Bright flash blinded everyone for several minutes, also vaporizing the undead. Bucky protected his sight with his googles and now, with battle knife in one hand, was aiming for the kill. But what happened next stopped him in his tracks. Wounded soldiers, prisoners as he presumed, and soldiers of both armies ran away from something. "Help! Help us!" screamed they. The dead came to the camp for prisoners. "You see," said the Baroness. "Between the two armies, I'm your only path to salvation. Kneel or become the Tenebrae, your choice." "Wonder Woman," said the huffing female doctor, who managed to run to her position. "The undead, they came to our camp, killed so many. So many. And the prisoners, the Nazis. They are loose. They are not loose," huffed the Winter Soldier. "They are trapped, alongside us. With army of Tenebrae in front of you, said Baroness, clapping the neck of her undead horse and the army of Tenebrae behind. You are trapped now, Wonder Woman. Kneel and find your salvation in your servitude to me. My sisters had already fought the Tenebrae. Fought and vanquished. Instead of answer, Baroness showed Diana her hands. The princess gasped. Amazon gauntlets? Where did you take them? Baroness smiled and took away the carpet that covered the back of her horse. As you said, the king beneath the black fought your people, too, Diana. And just as with the dead, he keeps what he claims. Horse started to glow with blue, ethereal light. It sprouted two large, bat-like wings and spread it wide, with Baroness, once again on its back, looking down with triumphant smile. Tenebrae. Attack. Retreat. Screamed Diana. To where? Screamed one of the terrifying men. There is no place to hide. Over there is the cave. Screamed the Winter Soldier and pointed in the direction of the cave, continuing to shoot the undead. No. German soldiers, to me, you must return to the army and continue to serve the Third Reich. The POWs, the Nazis. Started the doctor, but one of the soldiers shut her up. No. Gun down the Kraut bastards. Do what you should have done days ago. But Golden Lasso hit them like a whip. If you are living, get inside. You see, said Baroness, speaking with the Tenebrae. There is no quarrel beside the dead. And Diana cannot command even her followers. Smoke them out. Dig out the trees and burn them. Meanwhile in the cave. Listen to me. Listen to me. Screamed Diana, gaining attention of everyone. This is what you have chosen. This chaos. This conflagration. You turned your back on your people, because all humankind, beyond the land, the race, the faith, were still your people. Blind, wretched. Hateful. That you could look on your fellow creatures and see strangers, see enemies. You chose hate and now you are allies and servants of death. And you have made him your master. Is this what you desire? Corpses? Rot? Oblivion? You going to hell to such beliefs? To your petty hatred? To desire for killing? To thoughts of being righteous and noble men? She stretched her lasso. Surrender. Submit to me. And redeem yourself for what you have made of this world. They kneeled in front of her, touching her golden lasso. AGH. Screamed Baroness on her flying nightmare. Fools. Scum. Abominations. You betrayed your homeland, you betrayed your fathers. Screamed she to the German soldiers, who ran alongside the Allies' soldiers and fought the Tenebrae. But she was forced to shut up as bullet from the Winter Soldier's rifle nearly pierced her skull and Wonder Woman's lasso grabbed the Nightmare's neck. We cannot repeat the crimes of our beloved generation simply because they are beloved. Started Diana, pulling her lasso and forcing the mare to land. We cannot raise our children as our parents raised us. The world moves forward. Ours is different time. Losing her balance, Baroness fell from her mount and Diana attacked her while she was falling. We must create something better than that from what we came. Now stand and fight. Back of the rifle hit the head of the Baroness and the fell, clenching her head. Winter Soldier pointed his rifle at the Baroness. But Diana placed her hand upon it. No more deaths for today, we will not give the Tenebrae more soldiers. Bucky nodded and lowered his rifle. No matter what you say, we will have the world, said she as blue sparks covered her gauntlets. In bright explosion of blue energy, she disappeared. Diana grabbed the reins of the Nightmare and starched her hand to her companion. Come Steve Trevor. We have a work to do, said she. Is it a private party or can I tag in? Asked the Winter Soldier, riding another Nightmare. Of course. Winter Soldier, isn't it? That's my code name. I'm James. Sergeant James Barnes. Thanks for listening and remember the disrespect is real. Goodbye.